Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to share how I became one of 73 Gates Cambridge scholars in the class of 2021. I'm currently a final year PhD student at the University of Cambridge and I'm doing my PhD with a Gates Cambridge scholarship. Before I explain what this scholarship entails, I'm just going to say that this YouTube channel is a bit of an experiment. So if there's anything that you'd like to see on it, please comment down below and like and subscribe so that I see that there's interest and it keeps me motivated to keep posting more videos. I'm absolutely happy to share anything about my experience at Cambridge or with Gates. So Gates Cambridge is a very competitive international scholarship, and the applications are judged in these four criteria. Um, the first one seems a bit standard, it's just academic excellence, but I think because the scholarship is so competitive, everyone is really excellent in terms of academics, although there's people from a wide range of backgrounds and universities that they've gone from all over the world. The second one is choice, of course. So obviously the scholarship is specific to Cambridge University, and so the specific course that you are applying to should match your profile very well. And this is something that they look for, but it's not the most important criteria, I would say. The later two are more unique ones. So the third one is leadership. You have to show some kind of leadership, although again, this is interpreted broadly, and I didn't have much leadership experience per se, but I was able to show that I had some initiative, and I think that worked. And then the fourth criteria, which I think is maybe the most defining one, is commitment to improving the lives of others, which is interpreted like broadly in like a variety of ways. You like it doesn't mean that you have to have done volunteering or something like that, and you can show this commitment through your research, like the topic of your research that will help others, or maybe through your extracurriculars or like your long-term goals, that will work. So how do you actually apply for this scholarship? Well, it goes in hand with a standard application to do a PhD in Cambridge, or if you're applying to do a master's, then it also goes in hand with a master's application. When you're filling the application through the Cambridge portal, then there's a part that's like, okay, are you interested in applying for a Gates Cambridge scholarship if you are an international student, because this scholarship is only for international students, so like not from the UK. And if you say yes, then they will ask you for the specific Gates Cambridge documents that you have to submit. So the first of these documents is the Gates statement, which is basically a continuation of your personal statement where you talk about your background, your proposed research or research interests, and maybe your proposed supervisor. But for the Gates statement, it's a bit more personal. You need to show why you meet the four criteria for the scholarship. So why your course matters. I don't think you need to talk much about academic excellence in this one, but you need to show your leadership and your commitment to improving the lives of others, either through research or otherwise. And these claims that you'll make there will get back up with your Gates letter of recommendation. So for this, you will choose, in addition to the two people that will write you an academic letter of recommendation for the standard application, you will choose an extra person who might be an academic or maybe not, who will support your application for the Gates scholarship specifically. So it can be a bit tricky to find a person to do this, but ideally it should be someone that knows you reasonably well so that they can speak about your personal qualities, but also it should be someone, if you can, that the Gates Trust will value as a recommender. So obviously it shouldn't be a friend or anything like that, but it should be someone that can speak a bit about not necessarily like specific personal qualities, but maybe your career plans or an instance in which you've shown that you meet the criteria for the Gates scholarship. So I know this can be a bit tricky, so let me know if you want me to explain the person I chose and why I think it worked out, because I think that was one of the best parts of my application. And then the final part is the research proposal, and this is actually part of the standard application for some people. I think humanities and social sciences, if you're applying for a PhD, you need to do this anyway, even if you're not applying for Gates. But most STEM, so science, technology, PhDs won't do this in the application process because maybe you don't really know what specifically you're going to research during your PhD. But for Gates, you need to do this. So you need to talk about motivate the research project and what the aims will have, maybe like expected outcomes and expected impact, and you can use this also to, if applicable, to show why you are committed to improving the lives of others, if this is something that you will aim to accomplish through your research. But how to actually do this, it can be a bit tough, and in my experience it definitely felt like that, especially because my supervisor at that time, she didn't really have the time to help me making this, because it's not usual for PhD applications. So what I just did was an extension basically of my master's thesis, which I was, at the time of the application, I was just starting the master's thesis and reading through the literature and so on. But that meant that was something that I could talk about, and so it just has to be sound convincing, and be somewhat realistic. But honestly, you don't have to follow through this on the PhD. I definitely have not. It's entirely opposite directions and styles to what I said I would do on the research proposal. And actually, now that I know a lot more about the field, I don't think it was a great research proposal. But I think it showed the fact that I wrote it. It showed that I was committed to the research field, and I read through the literature, and I knew what were important problems to discuss, even though maybe the methodology that I was proposing wasn't quite right, and now my interests are slightly different. So don't get scared because you need to write this. So my final piece of advice would be to talk through other Gates scholars. So you can either contact me, but also, even if you don't know anyone, I mean, you probably don't know anyone in the scholarship. I didn't know anyone, but we're all listed publicly on the Gates Cambridge website, so you can find our names and probably our emails there as well. And if there's someone who shares something with you, like maybe common background, common research interest, or maybe similar extracurricular activities, they might be able to help. Everyone in Gates is super friendly, so don't be afraid to send cold emails. I sent cold emails and cold LinkedIn messages that it was really scary at the time, just coming out of undergrad, having to do that, and you look up to these people in this very competitive scholarship, but it is worth it, and they will also be able to help you maybe sharing their experience with interviews, which is something I didn't have to do because I got kind of lucky because I was in the COVID year, so they just canceled interviews and they just chose everyone based on the application materials. So I guess at least I'm somewhat confident that my application wasn't so bad because I got selected entirely on that. But what I've heard from others who have done interviews is that it's not as scary as it seems. And so that brings me to my final point, which is, just apply. It's really competitive, and there's every year there's a lot of really good people who deserve the scholarship and they don't get in because of bad luck or just the sheer amount of applicants. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. For me, it's been one of the best things of my professional career. I think the fact that I got this scholarship, and I knew when I was applying that it was a long shot, but I'm really proud that I was able to put it together, and of course that I got it. So yeah, definitely it's been a really worthy experience. And if you'd like me to talk more about it, then please let me know below, and maybe leave a comment or subscribe, like, so that I can make it more videos, because this channel is a bit of an experiment so far. But that's all for now. So don't stop learning.